Sander Tavallaey, working at ABB Corporate Research. The title and the content will be about ethics. It was really nice. It's now, the previous speaker has put the level so fast, so high, so I shall see if I can answer to some of the questions that was raised actually during the last one. So the content of this talk will be first some facts about ABB. I'm not sure if you all are familiar, and since we have changed a lot in our focus, if I say so, it's good to talk about that. And then we are talking about industrial AI. This to put the stage, so to say, that what kind of AI we are talking about and what is the ethical issue concerned in that context. Then Trustworthy AI, first introducing the guidelines developed by a high-level expert group of AI from European Union, and then our comment on that. It's lots of ABB, but at the same time I would really want you to, exclude the ABB. The fact is that in the industrial application, how we should take care of these issues. And I do have ABB as an example, so that is the reason that it's so much ABB. So ABB is a technology leader that is driving the digital automation for our customer through our 4 business. One is electrification, the other is motion, industrial automation, as well as robotics and discrete automation. ABB is helping the customer to increase the efficiency and sustainability in their daily life, in their daily work, so to say. We are around 147,000 employees, generating almost $29 billion in revenue. We are located in 100 different countries, and they are operating in 100 different countries, and we are quite, I would say, a balanced portfolio in between Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, as well as Europe and America. R&D is the heart of ABB, and we are investing around 5 to 6% of revenue on R&D, occupying 9,500 of our scientists working on that, located in 10 different countries, and we do have quite close collaboration with more than 100 universities across the globe. We do, I would say, promote startups very much, both in the active action investment on these startups as well as through venture funding. And we really believe that the ecosystem of innovation based on collaboration across all of the industries is the key for the future. Industrial AI, what is it? Industry right now, there is a tremendous push from different trends, or I would say different drivers, so to say. All of us have been hearing about the circular economy. We are hearing about the, I would say, environmental issues that we are dealing with. We are we are surrounding of regulations which are really good because they will add value for the industrial application in general, but at the same time, since if you are global acting in different countries and these regulations and legislations are varying between different countries, it's lots of things that they are pushing industries. At the same time that the technology is pulling more and more towards digitalization, leading industry to take the next step in the automation to autonomy. So looking at that, what does it mean for us? If we look at the traditional automation loop, that is, you sense, you analyze, and then act upon it. In order to capture this push and pull of technology as well as I would say, the business, then we need to add some additional layer on that. That is, the sensing is not enough anymore. We have to percept. We have to make an additional step on that. It is not enough to analyze. We need to understand the situation. In order to act, we need to solve the problem. The fact is that the traditional automation loop is based on the steady state. That is, you know what will happen, you decide, you describe how things should go. But the autonomy requires that you should act upon the unknown. So it is obvious that we need additional intelligence on this extra layer. And of course, through perception, it is just to take what it is already outside perception. We listened about the chatbots, we know the image processing, video analyzing, and etc., all together to assist our operator, which is leading, which is controlling the whole automation system, so to say. So up to there, I would say that the mainstream AI is quite capable to help us a lot, and we do use it as much as possible. But when it comes to the next step, that is to take this step from analyzing to understanding, and from understanding coming to solve upon the problem, then we feel that you need take a bit, one step more. And that one step more, we call it as industrial AI. But what is it more precisely? You can characterize industrial AI in different, I would say, in different way, different characteristics you can recognize, but here we just some of them. During the pause, we had some discussions about correlation versus causality. Actually, I would say that this is one of the key things that distinguish between streamline AI and industrial AI. Causality is very, very important in almost all of industrial application. Just as an example, without any comment, is the generated power and temperature of a motor. So you make the history by yourself. So the other point is data versus information. Just a short sequence of our daily life is full of information about how we as person are. But a terabyte of data of a rotating motor, or I would say a power plant running in the, I would say, basic load will not give you any kind of information. It's lots of data, but no information. So one of the other, I would say, characteristic is that in many of the, I don't say that all of them, but in many of the mainstream AI, you are really focusing on the average. The average of the data will give you lots of information. But in our case, actually, the average is the part that we already know. The average is the physics. The average is the equations that we have used for design our system. So what we are interested on is the outliers, either kind of failures or golden batches. What was the cause of the one and the other one? So these are, I would say, the main differences. And of course, when it comes to the consequences, we heard about the bias and all of these things. Of course, if you do some wrong things, it can create lots of irritation and all of these things. But in industrial application, the consequences of that can be really dead or life. So these are the main things that are different. But how do we do it? It's very simple. This picture is very, very simplified, but I really like it. It's just to combine these two, I would say, if you look at the distribution curve that I showed, that is, take what you know, that is the physics, combine it with the data science, that is the part that you don't know, that you do not have any equation about. Combine them. Then you can have a model which will give you insight in the non-priori known information, so to say. So enough about that. Let's go to, but having said that, I hope that now you do have a picture. I mean, I can talk about 1 hour about that. There's lots of things to say about it. But just to put the stage, what we are talking, which type of AI we are talking about. Trustworthy AI, what is it? On April 2018, actually, European Commission gave a mandate to high-level expert groups, a bunch of very, I would say, well-merited people. They gave them mandate to come up with two manifestos, or 2 reports, so to say. One is the one that you do have it in front of you, and the other one is, I would say, advisory about the investment within AI. So in April this year, 2019, the high-level expert group came up with these guidelines about what is the ethic guidelines for AI. They considered 3 fundamentals, I would say, in their approach. They look at the lawfulness, ethical, and robustness of the AI and the consequences of implementing AI. If we put the legal part outside, I mean, since legal, of course, AI, as everything else, should follow the laws. So that's no question, so to say, nothing to discuss about. They identified the ethical AI, what they call it as ethical AI, as foundation for trustworthy AI, so to say. And based on this foundation, they identified a number of requirements to be fulfilled for following these requirements, then you can achieve these foundations. That was the way that they have organized the whole document and analysis, so to say. The document, I would say that there is lots of other things that they have touched on. They also discuss about different methods for reliability test of this ethical AI, so to say. And also they are providing, I would say, a draft on some kind of assessment checklist for just checking if the algorithm that I have developed follows or not. And the stakeholders or audience are covering from the developers to deployers to users. So these guidelines should be used of everyone, not industrial application, but even consumer and everything, so to say. So starting with the more or less human rights, they say that respect for human autonomy, prevention of harm, fairness, and explicability as foundation for trustworthy AI requires that you follow these requirements, that is, putting human agency and oversight in the focus, technical robustness and safety, privacy and data governance, transparency, diversity, non-discrimination, societal and environmental well-being, and accountability. So we at ABB, after that this came out, we said that, okay, that is very, very nice, and it is really important for us as well as any other stakeholders out there to really map it, see what do we have today, are we following this, and where do we lacking. So we did it, and in June 2019, corporate technology came out with, I would say, manifesto, commenting on the ethics guidelines that was out there. And as I said, it's not to show or say that ABB is so good, but ABB wants to follow the ethics even here, not to miss anything, so to say. So in this document, each and every of those requirements were commented and mapped to what we have done and what should be done. Let's start with human agency and oversight. Actually, the again, we discussed about the autonomous cars or autonomous driving cars, so to say. That is one of the most well-known example to discuss about. The Society of Automotive Engineers, they came out for 2 years ago, definition with taxonomies of different level of automation or autonomy, so to say. Inspired by that, last year, we at ABB also tried to come up with the automation level towards autonomy in order to communicate with our customer, to tell them, to be able to dialogue with them where in your journey in digitalization, transformation, and autonomy you are today, and how we can plan towards to the next step, so to say. That was the idea behind that. But after these guidelines came out, so we revisited it, and we could see actually that even at very, very high levels of autonomy, we believe that humans shall have the capability to understand, that is very important. Humans should always understand why algorithm does as it does, and the capability to revert decisions taken by an autonomous system if needed. And that was very good. Okay, this was nice. We have followed, so we can go further. One of the other requirements was the safety. Safety first is, I mean, you have been in the industry, it's always that is the parole that you follow, safety first. We at ABB, we have also tried during the years make this hazard environment, which industrial environment can be, as safe as possible. To 100% safe, we are not there, but we try to have it as much as possible. And the fact is that that was one of the things that guidelines really made that we really look at it even more, is that now implementing AI algorithms means that we are dealing with algorithms that are not traceable, they are not that reliable as our partial differential equations were, and all of these things. So that makes that we need to cage these algorithms in a way that we can secure even these algorithms as much as we could our older algorithms. And it's not only the algorithm itself, but also the security, cybersecurity around it need to be revisited, since we have a new, I would say, interaction surfaces through the data sets that can be quite dangerous for the industrial environment. So that is something that we are going to push more effort on it. The other part is privacy and data government. This is really interesting because in the era of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, data-driven approaches, data, of course, is in the focus of attention. This is really, really important, that should be clear in our communication with our customers, that how are we dealing with your data? GPDR is really good, we are following it, but it's not enough. We need to explicitly declare for our customer how and in which way we are dealing with the data. This is in industrial application. I would say that I would love to see that in every branches, that every company really take stand and say, how are we dealing with the data and in which extent? This manifesto was out December 2018, ABB. So that was also one of the other things that the guidelines says that we follow. One of the very challenging part of the guidelines or requirements that is specified in the guidelines is the transparency. Requirement of transparency and auditability comes also later. As you know, I mean, in the conference you have heard already in the plenary sessions, the transparency, traceability, these are actually the questions that are on the top of the I would say, research. There are lots of things that needs to be done. There are lots of things are doing right now. Is we are taking steps, but we are not there. So we believe from ABB part, we believe that in order to make this happen, we need to collaborate. We need to have really put effort for standardization. That is really important to really can help definition of when it comes to the how we can you know, I mean, type of fact that we do have for software in general, how we can be ensured that a trained model is applicable, is deployable in industry, for instance. What are the steps, type of protocols or something like that? We need to do that in order to push the development and research in the right way. The other thing is the diversity and non-discrimination that we heard a lot about, and that is really relevant. But the fact is that the bias here for in our application is more about, I would say, quality. When our algorithm, which are optimizing the process for our customer, is not doing as it should, if there is any bias in the data, it will lead to less good performance and not any discrimination. But what is really important to consider is that in many of the cases that the information embedded in the data can be, for instance, you can I would say correlate the performance of one operator and the outcome of the process, which can lead to idea to score people, for instance, and this should not happen. So these things are things that we are considering and we are thinking about. The other factor is that we talked about the extra layer, that is perception, that is we are going to use even more cameras, videos on the plant. And of course, these cameras that does not only look at the band, they see the people. They can track the people. How are we dealing with that? How can we anonymize that? And how can we really prevent that this data cannot be misused in certain purposes? The other application is planning and scheduling, where we really need to know where the resources are. Even those data can be used if we are not aware of that. So yes, there is issues that we have also to consider, maybe not in the same way as in the case that we heard, but yes, there is things that we have to think of it, and we should think of it. The other one is the accountability. This is quite, I would say, connected to auditability as well, because in order to have an accountability, you want to be able to audit and go back both in the data and algorithm and follow and all of these things. And these are challenging. These are not things that are in place. We have to work more on it in order to get them in the way that it is. Then the last one is the sustainability. It is really, really important. But I would really honestly say that in our application, this is a matter of no questions, because this is what we are doing the business of. That is our portfolio. That is what we are doing, helping our customer to increase the efficiency, decrease the waste, and so on and so forth. And we do it, it is in our DNA. So to conclude, I would say that there is lots. We have just started. This guidelines is the first step that has been taken, that we really welcome it. And I think that this was, I mean, the main, I would say, purpose of this talk, when I was asked, was to really propagate for that. I don't know how many of you were aware of these guidelines. Please Google it. This is nice, and really check it in your business if you are doing that. to properly use AI as a helpful technology in industrial application, its properties and weaknesses, it has to be, I mean, the next point is that when we really understand that AI is not a magic wand with which you can really solve all the problem, we have to be very clear with our customer. And there is out there some kind of picture that you get just some data and then you can do the magic. That is not the case. There are lots of challenges in front of us to be solved before we are there. The very important thing, other important thing is here education. It was also in the panel debates was discussed. In order to follow all of these requirements that we said, I mean, okay, ABB, we have noticed, we have we have really some kind of idea how to do, but who is doing it? It is the engineers who are entering to us, engineers who are working for us. And in order to be able to really follow that, it should be educated. The people who are, the education system should include AI as a part of all of the engineering disciplines, so to say. We need engineers to be aware of what are the challenges, what are the points that they have to think of, so to say. Those requirements that are not easily fulfilled today, as I said, transparency or the accountability, are those that we need to put more effort around, and together with academy, together with industry, put efforts and put more research on these topics to really get there where we want to get. The main idea is to really make our life easier and not more difficult, so to say. So, that was everything.